Hello, Marvina.
Hello, Renee. How are you doing?
I am well. How about you?
I'm doing well. I am doing well.
Great.
Thank you.
Great. Yeah. Here we are again, another episode, 78.
Yes, here
Yeah.
we are again. Very thankful, right?
Yeah.
Every
Yeah.
episode I get, every time you say the episode number, I'm like, wow, we made another one. We made
Yeah.
another one. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And I was looking, I think the first one we did was almost a little over 3 years ago. So the
Wow.
fact that we've stuck with it is pretty good.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And especially with the conversations we had at first, I'm like, I don't know, Renee, but yeah, okay, wow, 3 years.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Wow.
Yeah, yeah. So we hope our viewers and listeners have been enjoying our conversations, and
Yes.
if you have, please like us.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
that helps our channel. Oh gosh. Anyway, well, today's episode I entitled "Hungry."
Okay.
So yeah, so this all explain how this all came up, but I just have a question for you. And when I talk about my experience, I realize it is not anywhere compared to some people who go through hunger.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I
Mm-hmm.
do remember a point in our lives where we were in a situation where my dad was in and out of work. I've mentioned that a couple times. And
Mm-hmm.
he was a very proud fella and would never take unemployment when he was laid off.
Oh, wow.
And
Okay.
so sometimes you just didn't have food in the house.
Okay.
And I remember this one time, I think, and I don't know if it was exactly the night before and the next day or my mind, it's fuzzy after so many years. But I do remember there was one evening my mom had a little can of tomato sauce and a handful of rice and a piece of sausage.
Okay.
And she made our dinner out of that.
Mm-hmm.
But I remember you'd see kids at school with lunches with like the ho-hos and
Mm.
and the chip
Yeah.
bags and stuff like that. And you're just kind of watching them eat and just,
Yeah.
wow, and so this one night we were just like eating just this little bit of stuff that
Mm-hmm.
she was able to scrape together. And then, during those times we'd go to my grandma's sometimes and my dad would tell us before we get out of the car, if grandma asks if you're hungry, you say no because
Wow.
he was just that proud. He didn't want people to think that he was failing his family, right? So we get to grandma's and she goes, are you girls hungry? It's like, no, grandma. Don't you lie to
Trying to
me.
blink.
Yeah, yeah. And she goes, don't you lie to me. Are you hungry? And we're looking at my dad go, oh no, are we? and, and so she'd look at him and she goes, don't you ever tell your kids when they come to my house, if they're hungry, they can eat. And so
Wow.
grandma would feed us a little something. But
Yeah.
I remember this one time when we had like nothing in the house. And I,
Mm-hmm.
I think I've told this story before, but a lady from church showed up unexpectedly one morning
Mm-hmm.
and she came to the door and she says, I have something for you guys. She opened the back door of her car and there were bags and bags and bags and bags of groceries.
Wow.
It was just, I mean, I will never forget this woman as long as I live.
Wow.
Just, stuff that we would not be buying with the limited
Yeah.
budget, but just it was amazing. So, I know my hunger story, like I say, does not compare to some people who just, have food insecurities and may not eat for days.
Mm-hmm.
But there were points when we were hungry.
Yes.
Yeah. Did you ever experience anything like that when you were growing up?
You know, I'm sure I did. And I say that to say my mom was very resourceful. So, because there were times when, of course, my dad was, doing his thing or whatever. And I always remember, um, and, and I identify with you when you say like there were, you had food,
Mhm.
but you would see other kids with other things. And I just remember like my mom bought generic everything. And
Mhm.
so then that was to help, it was of course to help the money stretch, right? But I'm like, I don't want the generic oatmeal cookies
Yeah.
or I don't want the
Yeah.
generic. But she was very resourceful, but we did, but thinking back, like as a grown up now, looking back, I understand what that is. We ate a lot of beans, we ate, a lot of rice. And as you were explaining the rice, you said the tomato paste or
Yeah,
tomato
tomato
sauce,
sauce and
tomato
sausage. Yeah.
sauce and such. I was thinking, that's a whole meal.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But it's funny how, isn't it? I was also thinking about how a lot of times God gives us resources, but we just adamant about not receiving them, right?
Hmm.
Meaning a way out, like you were talking about your dad and unemployment. Sometimes we're too proud, right? When
Yeah.
we're in our winters and we're hiding things, and other people see your grandmother
Yeah.
saw the lady at church. But I again, I know, like, because there was four of us, so I know that there were times, my mom was stressing out about, what we were going to eat. And I think a lot of times we're thinking, I want McDonald's. But she's like, no, we're like, I
Yeah.
don't, do we have to have the hamburgers made at home? That was my
Yeah.
pet peeve because
Yeah.
my mom used to put like the bell peppers in them. I like it now, but that
Yeah.
is not what we were looking for. But I do
Yeah.
remember, when my mom going to pay bills, and even if we went through McDonald's or whatever, we may get a burger, but we got to split it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Four
Yeah.
ways, or, so I know that, and my memory is not as good as yours is. I think I just lived in a household that my mom was just very resourceful, and then my
Mhm.
grandmother was too. My grandmother, was from the South, and so she had a garden in her backyard. And
Yeah.
so she was always, I mean, we would go to her house. It was the same thing. She always had a meal, prepared on the stove. But so I think as a kid, I just didn't notice it as much. You know what I'm saying? There
Yeah.
were a lot of things we didn't have, and I noticed that, but not necessarily food wise. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? But again, I think it's because of just my mom was very resourceful
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
made it work. And as a kid, you miss it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We because my grandmother bought the big 25-pound bag of sugar, but now looking at it, that was because she knew the kids are gonna need it. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? She
Yeah.
always prepared to have more than enough for everybody.
Right.
So yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Did you ever have to drink the powdered milk?
Oh my goodness.
Oh,
Yeah.
that was nasty.
My mom and I just had a conversation about
Yeah.
powdered milk.
Yeah.
And now I'm like, now I actually need to get some to keep it on hand because, sometimes when I'm cooking, or I don't drink a lot of milk. I've never been a
Yeah.
big milk drinker, but the powdered milk, I
Yeah.
was like, why do they even have this stuff?
Yeah.
But now it's an easy way for me to be able to keep it and use it when I cook, right? But yeah, my mom and I just had this whole conversation. I was like, that was a waste of an invention
Yeah.
that we had as a kid. And my mom, like, there's been a couple times when we've had cereal, but it was made with the instant milk. I don't care how long you refrigerate it, you can never pass it off.
No. No. And I don't know if my mom tried to stretch it a little more, but it was just, you could just put water on your cereal. It would have been just the
I
same.
know.
Yeah.
I always thought it was like, was just cloudy water too.
Yeah. I know.
Yes. Oh my
Yeah.
goodness. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. That was one of the worst things I thought. Just, oh,
Yeah.
powdered milk. Oh.
Yes.
Oh
Now we
gosh.
just had that conversation. My mom was like, "Yes, of course you should, Marvina, you should have powdered milk in your pantry." I was like, "But like, who even thinks about that?"
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Yeah.
oh.
But maybe, hey, that'd be a good punishment for your kids, right? Your kids and grandkids. You're gonna be sassy, then you're gonna have the powdered milk on your cereal.
Yeah. I don't think I could even do that to them.
See, that's the difference between you and me. I could.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
funny.
but there's a lot of things like that that I
Yeah.
remember. But Um, you know, but I can't really say that I really remember being necessarily hungry. But
Hmm.
again, I already told you how my memory is. And again, just, you know,
Yeah. Yeah.
I
And
think
my,
just my mom's resourcefulness
yeah.
over
And
that.
my mom was resourceful too. I mean,
Yeah.
she could do it. But I think the fact that my dad didn't have any money coming in is like, okay,
Yeah.
then what? What do you do? But
Right.
yeah, so
And he's not willing to accept anything
right.
from anyone or any resource. So of course you're gonna notice it because it's
Yeah.
because even though the resources may be there, you have to actually apply for you have to get them. So yeah.
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 And I could see from his point of view too. It's funny how our pride will get in the way a lot of
Yep.
times and
Yep.
keep us in a season that we don't have to be in.
Right. Right.
And I can understand his thought process and his, mind and, how he must have felt. But it's funny again, like how our pride will, and it doesn't just affect us, it affects everybody around us
Right.
because we stop them from being able to receive what God is trying to give
Right.
us too,
Right.
right?
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, the reason I thought about this whole topic was because I mentioned this to you when we chatted the other day. Um, I had heard a song
Mm.
that talked about, do you feel you're in four seasons of winter?
Hmm.
And then I happened to see there's a comedian named Michael Jr. I really like him. He's just a very funny guy, but also
Hmm.
a Christian man. So the things he brings out in his routines, it's just very powerful sometimes. And he was going into this prison and
Hmm.
talking to the inmates.
Hmm.
And he was talking, giving them some comedy, but he also then brought in how sometimes we can be hungry both emotionally and spiritually. And
Hmm.
he started to speak to these guys about how they felt about themselves, what their self-worth was. And then
Yeah.
he just began to speak truth. God loves you. God's proud
Hmm.
of you. And it was amazing to see these inmates, these men,
Hmm.
tattooed men, you know, not going to
Hmm.
smile if they don't have to, just begin to cry and
Yeah.
wiping their eyes
Yeah.
because they were hearing truths that spoke to the hunger that they carried, you
Right.
know?
Right.
And I thought about how a lot of times we're searching for things. We got that hunger because maybe maybe we have a lack of worth or a lack of significance. Maybe we've been told all our lives that we're useless or
Hmm.
mistakes or and so
Hmm.
then that develops a craving in us for acceptance.
Right.
And when people are hungry enough, sometimes they'll eat out of a trash can.
Yeah.
And
Hmm.
that's what we see a lot of times when we're so hungry or so starved emotionally for
Right.
that recognition, that love, usually from like a parent is when it
Yeah.
starts.
Yeah.
And we're looking for things to fill that void, you
Right.
know.
And it shows up like differently in all types of different ways, right? As you were explaining that, as you were talking about that, it kind of took me back to that's also why we have to have grace and compassion,
Hmm.
right, for others because we don't know the hunger pains that they may have experienced in life
Right.
that have brought them to where they are now, right? And some
Hmm.
people they're still those hunger pains still come up or they're not, like even when you're hungry, sometimes you're so hungry, you ingest whatever it is, but it's not satisfying, right? Because it's not
Hmm.
of substance or it's not of, and I think that and a lot of people experience that as well, and then they show up as the difficult person or
Mhm.
the person that just rubs everybody the wrong way.
Mhm.
They're trying to fit in, they're trying to get acceptance, they're trying to, you know, and then being in that state, we form all these other characteristics, being really guarded,
Mhm.
not trusting of anyone. And so it again, it takes me back to why it's important for us to have grace
Mhm. Mhm.
and
Yeah.
compassion
Right.
for
Right.
others, even when we don't understand. You know
Right.
what I'm saying? You talked about the prisoners, a lot of them have done things that the consequence ended up being prison, right?
Right.
Right. But we still have to have compassion for people. The comedian you were talking about, the fact that he went in and he's ministering to these men,
Right.
because a lot of times I think we ought that people that have been in winter for so long, all they expect is winter. They don't expect a spring to come. There's not a renewing. They feel, like you said, thrown away. Um,
Mhm. Mhm.
and that's where we understand, again, grace comes in because everybody is worthy,
Right. Right.
and those of us that God has healed in some areas and brought through some things. We're the lady that showed up at your door at your
Yeah.
home with
Yeah.
a trunk full of groceries. You know
Right.
what I'm
Right.
saying? And so I'm glad that you brought that up because it's very important, because you can get caught up in just the what you see,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? And it's resonating with me because we deal with hurt people every day, but we forget we deal with hurt people every day,
Yeah. Yeah.
you
True.
know.
True.
And like you said, even though you growing up the way you did, and even you having those moments when you were hungry, and that was the most, at the time, the most probably devastating thing for you, but there's those that have even their situations are even more dire,
Right.
right?
Right.
And they're more, it's hard for us sometimes to recognize that because we haven't experienced it. But just because we haven't experienced it doesn't mean it doesn't happen.
Right.
And so
Right.
that's a lot to think about.
Yeah. And I like the way you said it, hunger pains, you
Mm-hmm.
know. I think we can be hungry and that can be hard, that can be painful, but physically hungry, but I think the spiritual and emotional hunger
Mm-hmm.
is very painful,
Mm-hmm.
you know, because a lot of times we, like you say, don't know how to express it, don't know why it's there.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I think carrying that, you're just always looking for acknowledgement or significance or acceptance or uh,
Mm-hmm.
uh, just, I don't know, just anything to fill the void. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, you look at people with, struggle with alcohol.
Mm-hmm.
That's their thing that they go to because, not because necessarily, I don't think that it's their desire. Maybe some it is, but I don't think
Mm-hmm.
it's necessarily they're going, oh, I gotta,
Right.
it's more of like whatever is the pain, the hunger pain inside them, inside their spirit, inside their hearts. It's
Mm-hmm.
like, I just want to numb that. I just
Right.
want to, people who have addictions, it's just usually because they want to numb the pain
Right.
that they're carrying,
Right.
and just the way the lady came to our house, like you said, that brought those groceries, that um addressed a need.
Mm-hmm.
It addressed a need. It addressed uh, the hurting that was going on.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that most people probably know this, but there's, like my dad, there's a hesitancy to reach out and accept. But John 6:35, Jesus says, I am the bread of life.
Yes.
Whoever comes to me shall not hunger.
Yes.
And that makes you realize you don't have to continue in that state of hurt and
Right.
pain,
Mm-hmm.
because there's someone who wants to feed that need that you have. And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes it takes identifying it,
Right.
and that's when we go to God in prayer. We say, what is it that holds me back? What is it that keeps me thinking that I have no significance?
Right.
And then once identified, and I'm not saying this is like a 1, 2, 3 step thing
Right.
where it's just
Yeah.
you do this and then it's over and
Right.
you know,
Right.
but identifying it and then just saying, okay, God, you be what
Mm-hmm.
satisfies that hunger in my heart.
Mm-hmm.
You show me that significance that I carry and that worth. you
Right.
know.
Right. And we have to be willing to accept it. Because again, just like the lady that showed up at your home, had your dad come out and said, no, she couldn't make your family accept
Mhm.
the groceries, right?
Right, right.
But I think that sometimes God also He sends us help.
Hmm.
He sends us, He puts people in our path, s- compassionate people that are willing to walk with us, that are willing to pray with us. But we have to be open to accept it too. Sometimes, again, we can get in our own way because of pride.
Hmm.
Um, Even, as you talked about the men that, is it Mike Jr.?
Michael
Was
Jr.
Michael
Yeah,
Jr. was ministering to, they had to have receptive hearts. You know what I'm saying?
right.
They had to, while he was speaking, whatever, while he was talking about sharing whatever he was sharing, they had to allow their hearts to open. And I'm sure that God is amazing because what God does is, a lot of times the way God works is, like you said, it's not all at one time, but God gives us these little things, there's these little seeds that are planted, these little opportunities that come up. People may say, we may have a hard heart, but there are situations in our lives where God has shown us He's trying to open it up. He's
Mm.
trying to end our winter. He's trying to bring us out of that season. But I think sometimes people get so used to, and they've, maybe been so beat up in life. And like you said, you know, if you had a parent that wasn't the most compassionate, because that's where you first kind of learn things, right? Your part
Mhm.
of your identity is formed there. But sometimes they get so comfortable in winter
Mhm. Mhm.
because winter can be, I personally like when winter
Yeah,
comes
yeah,
because then I could just snuggle in.
yeah.
I don't have to come out.
Right, right.
I can
Yeah,
stay in my little warm home.
yeah.
Thankfully, God has given me um a comfortable place to be. But
Mhm.
sometimes we can stay there because as spring starts coming down, everybody's coming out. You gotta talk to everybody.
Yeah.
That season in life, right? And
Yeah.
I think and kind of and I think that as we're talking, and not to shift too much, but I feel like I'm fighting my spring because I really do. I like winter. I do.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And so, and that's what, and what I'm saying is that sometimes winter doesn't always feel cold. It does, but we're insulated sometimes. And
Yeah.
sometimes we stay to ourselves. You know what I'm saying? I just want to stay in the house and have a bowl of soup
Yeah.
and just
Yeah.
watch my movies. But God is trying to move us to a different area in our life. And so I again, I gotta go over here and then come back over here. But sometimes, where was I going with that now?
Yeah. Sometimes it's just easier to be
Yeah,
like just I don't know. ignore it, like you say, be comfortable in
Yes,
it, or just be
yes.
tolerant of it. Maybe that's
Or
even
because,
better. Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
right, yes.
Yeah.
So we do
So,
still have to, we got to be willing to open up and to embrace the
right.
change of season that God is trying to bring.
Right.
Because on the other side of it, it's just as wonderful, but sometimes it's just getting out of your own way.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think I would just encourage people, because like I say, that video of Michael Jr. with those prisoners just really struck me of how many people do carry that hurt, that those
Yes.
hunger pains inside of them. They want
Yeah.
something different. And I remember going into my counselor when I first started, the first day I saw her, I had a list, and it was like, here's where I am, here's where I want to be. So if you know you're walking through life without joy, without
Yeah.
peace, with unforgiveness in your heart,
Yeah.
but you know that you want to be somewhere else, you want to be able to restore that relationship. You want to be happy. You don't want people when they see you just, oh, we got to get away, you want
Right.
to be able to engage with people in a healthy and positive and encouraging way. I think it's important to go, okay, where am I? Where do I want to be? And just what is it that needs to change?
Right.
What hunger pain needs to be satisfied
Hmm.
so that I can receive what
Hmm.
God has for me,
Right.
you know?
Right. And you just said something, you were saying, you just mentioned how, if you don't want to be someone where people are running from you, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes we don't even like we're so comfortable with our winter, we don't even realize we ignore the
Hmm.
signs of the things like that,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
And we want to, and I think it's easy for us to get in this thing of it's everybody else. It's all the people outside. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
And that's another way that I think sometimes when God brings those things to our attention, that's part of him trying to bring us out of that comfortable state because I think sometimes people think that they're doing a good job with managing the hurts,
Hmm. Hmm.
managing the rejection,
Hmm.
and you're not.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I think again, that's that comfortable state because sometimes we're in a space where people are afraid to say anything because they don't know how we're going to react or they
Yeah.
don't know how. And so I think we have to, those are some things that we have to look at too. If you're wondering, if we're wondering, you know, are we in a winter or am I dealing with these hurts? Because again, we learn how to, you said something when we were talking about winter and we were talking about being comfortable. Um,
Tolerant.
tolerant. We
Hmm.
just learn to tolerate those things and we just keep moving,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? But they're not, but we're not dealing with them because it's a continuous thing. Just like the seasons change, it's a circle, right? It's always a circle. We're all, as long as we're here on earth and we have a winter, spring, summer, and fall.
Yeah.
But we come back around to
Right.
winter, spring, summer, and fall. So it's a
Right.
continuous work. And I think again, sometimes we think that we've gotten over hurts that we have not, and we are literally wearing it on our sleeve. Everybody can see it. I go back to like your grandmother and the woman that brought the groceries. I'm sure your dad thought he was doing a great job of hide of hiding
Yeah. Yeah.
what you guys were going through but
Clear
clearly
as
it was
day. Yeah.
clear. Yes,
Yeah.
yes. And so I think that that's something that we got to take into consideration and think about too,
Hmm.
with um being hungry in the spirit and
Yeah.
emotionally, that the hunger pains, and sometimes you're so hungry for so long, the hunger pains go away, but then they come back, you know
Yeah.
what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah.
And to be hungry is I just think about when I try to fast and pray.
Yeah.
It's like I'm like, oh my God, So
Yeah. Our mom down to Roadhouse Deli. The fast is over.
I have a choice.
Oh my
Like
gosh.
just so hungry. But I like the analogy that you've used because it puts a picture and it's a physical feeling
Mhm.
that you can correlate.
Right.
And
Right.
so yeah, it's
Yeah. And
yeah.
talking about people spreading out when they see you coming. A lot of
Uh-huh.
times we want to take that hurt and we want to go, you want to see my hurt? Can I show it to you? We want to see. And
Right.
that's why people can't be around you because the fact is we all have stuff going and so we can't manage your hurt. Only God can manage your hurt,
Yes, yes.
right? And that's what I learned in counseling was that, you know, every time we talked about something, it wasn't like, well, then my mom has to do this before I can be healed, or the memory of my dad has to be changed before I can be healed, or whatever. No,
Right.
it has to be God that gets in there and
Yeah.
says, here's what truth was in that situation,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
And so I think if we can remember that too, that we want so desperately, I want to bring my hurt to you, Marvina, and I want you to see it and I
Yeah.
want you to recognize it. But that's not going to do any good. You're going to go, okay, I see it. Now the third time I come to you, you're going to be going,
Right.
I got to take a phone
Right.
call.
Right.
But we
Right.
have to realize that, yeah, God will give us people to recognize that we need somebody to walk with, but
Yeah.
ultimately He is going to be the bread that
Mhm.
satisfies the hunger
Right.
pains that we carry.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I agree. I
Yeah.
like that.
So,
I like this conversation.
yeah. Well, next time I see you running from me when I'm coming to see you in the office, I'm going to say, hey, perhaps I should listen more to what.
I'm gonna say I'm not hungry, Renee.
Oh, gosh.
But it's just, it helps for those who hunger and for those for us to be able to recognize that too, that
Mhm.
when people are hungry,
Yeah.
because we have to be connected to God and we have to be in tune with God because sometimes it will reveal to us this person is acting out because of their hunger. And you know what I'm saying? We have the word, the bread of life. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? So we can offer. It's up to them to receive it, but we
Right.
can offer it to them. So
Right.
yeah,
Absolutely.
something
Absolutely.
I'm gonna meditate on.
I like it. I like it. I may go make a sandwich right now. Oh
Yeah,
gosh.
yeah, I
But
love it.
yeah, yeah. So, okay, well, that's what I've got. How about you?
That's all I've got.
Okay. All right. Well, let's
I think we've said a lot.
yeah,
Uh-huh.
yeah. Let's I guess call it a wrap, huh?
Holler the rep. Until next time.
Until next time, you take care.
Okay, you too, Renee.
Okay. All right.
Bye.
Bye.